Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Tracy Young. The California state is estimated to have a $15+ billion budget deficit for fiscal year 2008-2009, which began July 1st. And joining us to talk about the challenges of balancing a budget in a slowing economy is Assemblyman Bob Huff, who also serves as the Republican Caucus chair. Assemblymember, tough economic times, and yet we're still trying to balance a budget. You know, we're looking in the forward. I mean, that's what a budget is. You're prognosticating what revenues you think may coming in, and yet you have to sort of make some commitments to the expenses that are going out. What numbers do you think we're going to have? I keep hearing 15 billion. Is that a number you're comfortable with?
Well, you recall last fall is actually when we started hearing some terrible numbers, and we made some mid-year corrections in early February. That trimmed that by half, but then the revenues that came in made it grow right back up to what the original number was, 15, 16 billion. That seems to be a good figure, but you're right. Budgets are based on guesses, and we're just guessing. This economy could tank some more. Dow Jones is down, you know, from where it was.
Which was not a pretty picture.
Exactly. On the other hand, home sales are increasing, although the prices are still going down. But you know, we might be getting to the bottom of this. So there's some good things there. But it's all based on guesses. We believe that's a good number. And at the end of the day, when we do all the easy fixes, if there is such a thing in the budget, we look at maybe about a $6 billion gap that's going to be very difficult to close.
But 6 is a big difference from 15.
Well, I didn't say it was easy getting to 6, but that's, you know,
that's
we can sort of bite the bullet and get down there from what I understand from the negotiators, but that last bit is a big philosophical gap.
So speaking of philosophy, let's get to the Republicans and the Democrats have very openly said that they have a very different approach to solving this budget deficit. What is the philosophy? Because the Senate and Assembly Republican caucuses have both put together a proposal. What is their proposal for solving this deficit?
Well, the Democrats in the Assembly have said that they need $6 billion in taxes to close this gap. The Senate Democrats have said they need $11 billion to close the gap.
And these would be new taxes.
And these would be new taxes, or taking existing taxes and tweaking them up, which we call new taxes. The Republicans are saying, we're already the 4th highest tax state in the nation. We have the highest income tax, very progressive. We don't need new taxes. Taxes change behavior so that you think the money's going to come in and people change their behavior so it doesn't. And so then it ends up just hurting all the hardworking families that are trying to struggle with paying their bills with higher fuel costs, with higher food costs, with keeping their house with the mortgage situation and the declining value of their homes. They can't borrow on their line of credit. So you got all these things that we just believe we're taxed enough and we need to make cuts or sell off surplus state revenue, surplus properties, things like that to meet that income or revenue gap.
You know, I had somebody come on that was part of that California performance review, and there were 3 stacks that were this high plus another supplemental. It was right after the governor was elected. They spent 6 months completely going through the government and just gutting it out. And they thought they could find anywhere between 10 on the conservative side to $20 billion in cuts in there. I mean, it made things like, I believe there's property down in San Diego that's a parking lot, and they're saying, look, why are we holding on to this?
You're absolutely right. Urban San Diego has a lot of property the state could sell. The Cow Palace is owned by the state. The Coliseum is owned by the state. There's a golf course in Oakland owned by the state. There's a residence in Hawaii. We have properties we really would do better off to sell, get those assets, and by the way, if you sell them to private enterprises, they get to pay taxes on it. Exactly, so it's an ongoing help.
Quick short-term situation. I keep hearing we have a cash flow problem. You know, the budget deficit, that's the issue, but we don't even have a budget. And I understand there's a very short-term cash flow situation.
There is. We've already transferred some money from transportation nobody likes, but we've shifted a couple $100 million to help in that 3-month period of transition until we get some new revenues in. And there's some other things we can do, but it's a serious problem. If you don't see a budget by the end of July, then it's going to be ugly, and it's not going to be for a while. It's going to be very painful to people that rely upon the state for revenues.
What's the point of having a constitutional deadline for passing a budget but no consequences? Why have it?
Well, it's a good question. You know, ultimately the big 5 have to get together. They're ones that determine this, and they've got to work out the differences. But until you get to a wall, generally people won't act.
So the bottom line is, if I understand it, is we still don't even have a budget bill that's been introduced, and we need to stay tuned.
But the real wall is when the pain starts, and that's the first part of August.
Thank you. For Local Edition, I'm Tracy Young. Now back to CNN Headline News.